Hello my dear learners, welcome to my channel. In this video series, we are learning the Java programming language with practical demonstration. In the previous video, we learned about what is exception, types of exception, arithmetic exception, number format exception practically. To learn the basic things about the exception, please watch my previous video. The link is given into the card. Now, in this video, we will learn about the array index out of bound exception and multiple try in one Java file practically. So, let's start the session. This is the program that we discussed in our previous video. Now, in this, we are handling two exceptions, arithmetic exception and number format exception. So what we have done in this program, we have taken the input from the user and then that input will be divided by the particular value. Now I am going to give you the demonstration for the array index out of bound exception. I am saving the file exception demo3.java. So now this is what our second demonstration. Here I am removing that catch over here. So now in this program there are only try and catch block. As you can see in the code, I have written try block and a catch block only. Right? So here we have handled the arithmetic exception over here. And in that program we have covered the number format exception also in my previous video. So if you want to learn about the number format exception, then you can watch my previous video. So this is what the exception demo 3 is. Here we have covered arithmetic exception and number format exception. So if sometime here what we have done, we have using the parse int method for the integer class to convert the string value from string value to integer. Now a divided by b equal to means b has a 0 value. At that time the arithmetic exception will occur and that will be handled by the catch block, and the cannot divide by 0 will be the output. As per this program you can see the a divided by 0 means 20 divided by 0. So the any numeric value cannot be divided by 0. At that time the exception will occur and we have handled that exception in our catch block. That is why we have written over here catch arithmetic exception AE. So AE is an object. So here I am having the same code with the integer.parseInt over here. So we will get the input from the user and that input will be converted into the integer and stored into the variable b, and then we will print the division a divided b. That will be a number format exception also and arithmetic exception also that we have covered. So now I am opening the CMD, okay, and in the CMD I am moving to the particular location. In the exception folder we have the Java file. I am compiling file javac exception demo 3.java. Enter. It is compiled successfully. Now I am running the file java exception demo 3, say for example. As you can see over in the output, we have array index out of bounds exception. There are occurring the array index out of bounds exception. So your program is getting the value from the user, but when user not providing any value, at that time this exception will be occur. So if user provide any value, say for example user provide 0 value, at that time also the exception will occur, but in our code we have handled this exception with the arithmetic exception. You can see over here the output is cannot divide by 0 and this line of statement is executed because we have given 0 as an argument, okay, and that argument will goes into the args variable, and then we have converted that string args to the integer value and we have stored the value into the b variable on line number 6, and then we are dividing with 20, okay, so 20 divided by 0. At that time the exception will generate, okay, and we have catch that exception in our catch block and we have written cannot divide by 0. Your program is getting the value from the user, and suppose user not entering any value, at that time the array index out of bounds exception will occur. Say for example I am going with the value string value now. I am compiling the file, running the file. As you can say, please enter the numeric value only. So there are also a number format exception are occurred and we have handled that exception in our catch block, right? So that is why we are getting these two messages on the console: cannot divide by 0 and please enter numeric value. So these two exceptions that we have handled in the catch, and these exceptions are generating into the try block. So try block is used to monitor your code. As you can see over here, array index out of bound exception are generating, but in our code we do not have handled the array index out of bounds exception. Means user are not entering any value, at that time the exception will be generated. So that arithmetic exception we have handled and number format exception we have handled in our code. Here also we have handled the arithmetic exception. We are handling two exceptions, arithmetic and number format. Okay. So in our try block there are two statements. That two statement maybe occur the exception in that two statement we have written in the try block. So system.out.println a divided by b. Okay. So if we enter the 5 value, so 20 divided by 5 will be 4, and if we enter Atmiya as a string value, then it will give me an error message. Okay, and you enter 0, then also the exception will be handled and user will have the proper message. So now I am entering with a space value, say for example Java exception demo 3, and as a value I am giving a space over here. So what will happen, my friend? Can you guess the output? What will happen in this program? We are getting the array index out of bound exception because the user has not entered any value in our program. So that is why the array index out of bounds exceptions are generated, but in our code we do not have handled that exception. That is why Java is giving us the exception in thread main java.lang.arrayIndexOutOfBoundsException. So our program is getting the value from the user, but as a user we are not providing the value. At that time this exception may occur. That is why we have written that statements in the try block. So try block is used to monitor your code. Okay, so this line of statement, and over here what we have written, arithmetic exception. Okay, now I am opening the exception demo 1. Say for example over here also we have handled the arithmetic exception. Okay, and over here also we are handling with the arithmetic exception. But in the exception demo 3, we have written two catch in one try. Okay. I am copying this code and paste it over here. Now you can see this is what our exception demo 3. We have handled arithmetic exception and number format exception. Now I will remove that particular line of statement, and here we are converting our string value to an integer value, and we are storing the value into the b variable. Here the arithmetic exception will be handled and number format exception will be handled if that exception is occurring into that particular try block. Now I am writing another try over here. So you can write multiple try in one Java file also. Here I will write system.out.println a divide b. So that is what I am giving you the another approach of the coding. You can handle your exception like that also. You can write a multiple try for the particular statement in one Java file. This is, you can see in the code we have written two try block in one Java file, and every try block has only one statement over here because this statement may occur the exception. So that arithmetic exception and number format exception, that is we have catched. But now I will write over here, say for example catch. So that arithmetic exception and number format exception we have handled at that time, but now I am copying this exception and paste it over here, array index out of bound exception. The line number 6 will occur the exception, that is the array index out of bound exception. When this line number 6 is executing, it may happen that line will generate an exception. At that time we have catched the array index out of bounds exception, because if user do not enter any value from the console, it will generate an exception. So that exception will be handled by the particular catch written on line number 7, array index out of bounds exception. Okay, so if user will not enter any value from console, at that time that exception will be handled by this line. And here number format exception. Now over here I will write, say for example, arithmetic exception, because on the line number 14 we have divided A with B. So A has 20 value and B may have 0 and may have a string value. So at that time we are handling this type of exception with our catch arithmetic exception. And here I will give the message to the user, say for example, at least one argument is required. So if user are not providing any value from the console, this message will be displayed into the console as an output. Okay, and if user do not enter numeric value, user will have the message, please enter numeric value. And if the user enter 0 as a value, then here we need to change the message to the user. Say for example, first of all I will compile the file first, exception demo3.java. As you can see, we are getting an error, cannot find symbol. Okay, so there is a typo error. Let me just change it. Arithmetic exception. Okay, so here we have two variable with same name. I have changed the name of the variable now. This is, we have written arithmetic exception. This is okay. Now I am compiling the file. Okay, we are getting the error in the line number 15. So there is a typo error, arithmetic exception, compiling the file now. As you can see, cannot find symbol B over here. Because B, we have created B variable in this try block. There's the scope of this variable will be only for the try block. Okay. So this B that we have defined in the line number 6 cannot be accessed on line number 14. We have created the variable into the particular try block. So that variable cannot access outside of the try block. That is why we are getting this error. So this is also a point to understand, my dear friends. Okay, so here what I need to do is, I need to declare the variable over here, integer a equal to 20 and b. Okay, so I am saving the file now. So I have declared in the globally now. So b is available in the all main function. So now I am compiling the file. Okay, we are getting an error. Variable b might not have been initialized. Okay, see over here, my friends, we have created a variable, but we do not have initialized that variable. That is why the Java is giving us the error. As you can see, we have created a variable, but we are not assigned any value at the time of declaration. So I will write b equal to 0 over here. I am saving the file, compiling the file again. There are no any error now. It is compiled successfully. As you can see, I am increasing some font size, so you will have the proper output. Okay. So as you can see, there are no any error in our code now. It is compiled successfully. Now I am running the file java exception demo3 and say for example 5. So as we can, in the output we are getting a 4, because 20 divided by 5 will be the 4 as an output, right? So now I am running with the 0 value. Say for example, I am providing the parameter as a 0. So when I am pressing the enter, that 0 will goes into the argument variable, and argument is a string variable, so we need to convert it into the integer. That is what we have done in line number 6. And then on the line number 14 we have divide. A divide b means 20 divided by 0. The exception will be occurred, and then we have catch the exception as an arithmetic exception. So over here we are converting the string value into the integer value. Now I am going to press enter over here, so that 0 will be stored as a string first. At that time we need to convert it into the integer value. That is why we have converting with integer dot parse int. So this function is used to convert your string value to integer value. There need only a numeric value as a string value. So here we are providing a 0. It means that 0 as a string value, it will get the input as a string, and then we have converted into the integer, and then we are dividing the value I am entering over here, please enter numeric value. So user will have the proper message now. There are no any exception is generating from the system. We have handled all type of exception. Say for example, now I am running with the string value. So what will happen over here? Say for example, ABC is will be converted into the, it will try to convert into the integer, but the character value cannot be converted into the integer value. So at that time the exception will generate, and we have handled the exception on the line number 9, number format exception. Okay. So when I press the enter, we will have the output, please enter numeric value and only. Okay, this message we have given 2 times, that is why we have in the output. So here I need to change the message. Say for example, cannot divide by 0. So now I am saving the file, I am compiling the file again and running the file with ABC value. So as an output we have a 2 statement now. Please enter numeric value only and cannot divide by 0. These value will generate 2 exception, number format exception and arithmetic exception also. So on the line number 9 we have handled the number format exception, and on the line number 15 we have handled the arithmetic exception, because 20 cannot divide by ABC, that is why the exception is occurring. Okay, and that ABC cannot be converted into the integer, that is why the number format exception is occurring. But in our code we have handled both exceptions, and we are providing the message to the user that please enter numeric value and cannot divide by 0. I hope you are getting this point very well, because it is very interesting and important also. So here we are converting the string value to the integer value. When user enters any numeric value, that will be stored as a string value, and then here we have number format exception over here. So that is why we are getting an output, please enter numeric value, and over on the line number 14 over here we are dividing the value with a 20 divided by string value. That is also not possible, that is why Java is generating the arithmetic exception, and then if the exception is generated, we have handled by catch block and we have provided the message cannot divide by 0. Okay, so now I am running the files with no value, say for example. So what will happen over here, my friends? What do you think about that? Okay, you can see this code, and when this code is executed with no value, what will happen? Is there is an error? Is there is an exception? Is the exception will be generated in that code? And if generated, as we are handling the exception or not? So there are multiple questions will occur in this line of code, and you will have the idea to handle the exception into your code. So b is an integer variable, but we are not providing any value over here now. So at that time the array index out of bound exception will occur, and that will be handled by this catch block, and we have written over here in the catch block system.out.println at least one argument is required. That is what we have given in the output. So if user will not enter any value to your program, at that time the array index out of bounds exception will generate and provide the particular message to the user. As we can see over here, when I pressed enter, there are 2 messages, at least one argument is required, cannot divide by 0. Because we have written on the line number 14, we have written 20 divided by b, but b do not have any value. So at that time the exception will also be generated by the system, and we have handled that exception as arithmetic exception AE. Okay, so this is a very small program, but there are a lot of topic covered in this program. I hope you are learning this program very well and your concept will be clear for the exception handling. So that's all from my side in this video. In the next video, we will learn about the exception class, call a method from the try block, null pointer exception, and finally block. So stay tuned to my channel, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys.